Hey Greg, how's it going, man?
Hey, good. We're here live at Light Fair 2019.
We're at the Current Powered by G booth, and we have Brian Vaughn and Tim. What's your last name?
Tim Miller.
Tim Miller from Current Powered by G. Guy, why don't you tell the listeners out there a little bit about the Reveal Tri-Gain technology that we talked about before we started?
So Reveal Tri-Gain is actually a GE exclusive technology. What we do is we change the phosphor on the LED, and the way it works is it gives you a higher, what we call CRI or color rendering index. So the normal light fixture would be in the 80 CRI, and we give you 90, so that's one of the three Tri-Gains. Okay. The second thing is the R9, which is the level of red in the LED, is above 90. Most LEDs at 80 CRI have reds, the R9 value, below 15. So it's a very high content of red, which is really desired in a fixture.
Sure.
And the third thing is when you go to Tri-Gain, you actually, when you go to 90 CRI, you lose about 30% in efficacy or the lumens per watt of the LED. With Tri-Gain, you don't lose anything. It remains the same. Cool. And the way that works is GE actually takes energy in the infrared and pushes it into the visible spectrum, and that's how we get Tri-Gain to have no loss when you go to 90 CRI.
That sounds like an exciting product, actually.
I think one of the things, LEDs aren't equal. We're at a trade show and you can walk around and you can see all product that might look the same, but they're not. And that's what GE has always done. Current Powered by GE has always done better than anybody else.
Tell us a little bit about your connected lighting solutions, the Daintree stuff.
Okay.
Sure. So we have Daintree Enterprise, which is our system that we've had for a number of years now. That is your wireless network solution that can do, your basic lighting controls as well as be a platform for IoT. We have introduced the Daintree One and Daintree Easy Connect versions of that platform as well to give a standalone sensor solution that you can put into the fixture. So the fixture comes out of the box, set it up, and it's ready to go. Our Easy Connect version of that allows you to do that standalone room control with a switch or all the fixtures grouped together. And the nice thing about that is it's easy to upgrade from Easy Connect or One to the Enterprise version, right? So if somebody wants to get fixtures in from a retrofit standpoint, the sensors in the fixture, the nodes are there. And with the migration process, if they want to add the IoT aspect or get to scheduling or advanced occupancy scenarios, you can easily upgrade that, introduce the network system, and then they have a migration path from your standalone fixtures to a network lighting control solution. So you don't have to touch the fixture. It's ready to
roll. So what's the website for you guys these days? Is that LED.com?
I believe it still
works,
is,
yes.
They own it.
That's easy.
It's a pretty easy one to remember, huh?
And of course, we want to thank the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, who also sponsors this show. So go to NAILD.org, folks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here. It's great to see you at the booth. A lot of action, a lot of excitement. How many years have you guys been part of Light Fair? Do you have any idea?
It's been, I could tell you it's been over 20, close to 25 years.
25 years. It's changed a lot.
Yep.
It has changed a lot.
Lighting has changed a lot as we all know too.
Absolutely.
What we wanted to talk some about today is, let's start with the word Futurefit. You get pretty upset when people say that.
I'm not a big fan of the word future-proof.
Okay. I like the word.
Thank goodness we didn't say that, huh, Brian?
This might be
But
challenging.
there's different terms. I don't like human-centric lighting either.
Yeah.
There's terms that when I hear them, they're vaporous, vacuous, mean nothing, jargon. And I feel like future-proof is becoming one of those words in this business that people say to mean, I don't know what we're going to do with connected lighting. I don't know what the value proposition for connected lighting is. So say future-proof, right? That's why I don't like that word, because generally when I speak to people about it, that's what they mean. Right. I mean, I don't know what it's going to do, but in the future it might do something.
Right.
So I don't like the throwing in of future-proof into the mix. What is it that you guys see with connected lighting? What are the real benefits for customers of connected lighting?
So if I can't say future-proof, I'll have to.
You can say whatever
I'll have to convince you otherwise. But I mean, for me, it's like from a network lighting solution. It is about like today, your facility is going to be doing something that you're used to doing, like your factory's running 24/7, 3 shifts a day. Is it going to be doing that for the life of the LED? Right, we're putting in a 15-year fixture. Is it going to be doing that? Are you going to be running 3 shifts like for the next 15 years? Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Right, so to me, it is important to have that flexibility. Maybe it's not so much future-proof, but it's harder to predict what's the future of your business is going to be, how you're going to be using the space, who's going to be in the space, and what you're going to be doing in that space. So to me, I do like the flexibility that your networked lighting solution can provide. And maybe that's a different way to say future-proofing, but
So can I use a word?
Go for it.
Upgradable. So if you look at our system, you start with Daintree 1. You can upgrade to Daintree Easy Connect simply by uploading an app to your phone. And then you can go to Daintree Enterprise with no changes except a firmware shoot to the sensor. So you're not doing anything in terms of having to physically go up to the fixture and make a change. So if you're an end user and you want a simple, easy solution, you buy Daintree 1, knowing that you can always upgrade to Daintree Enterprise anytime in the future with the enterprise type components and nothing else on the fixture.
Yeah, I think there's different levels of what we're saying as future-proof or upgradable. I like that term better. There's the connected part of it, and then there's also the fixture component or the LED itself.
right.
How do you guys tackle that issue? Right now, when you do a purpose-built fixture, we look at it and we're out in the field selling it, talking to end users. We know it's probably going to be the driver that goes first. But then, what if they want to? We had a whole podcast on it could be considered scrap metal at the end because all it is.
Yeah, so today we make retrofit kits.
Okay.
And I'll explain to you about the RPL in a little bit. But so the way we've designed our fixtures is in the future, you can attach a retrofit kit into the fixture. Now, we don't necessarily have that retrofit kit designed yet because in 10 years or 15 years, the LEDs are going to be different and you will have to replace the driver in that fixture. But you can create a kit and it could be simply a metal backplate that you cut the wires off the old LEDs, attach them to the new backplate, and tech screw it in right over the LEDs.
You're talking a purpose-built fixture.
Yes.
That you have this capability. All your fixtures are going to have that capability.
They're all designed today to have that capability for the future. So we do things like holes that I'll identify a retrofit kit, so you can position it without having to have any thought about how you place it.
Do you think the industry, we talk a lot about Jaga Consortium and things, is the industry ever going to come up with standards or form factors that we'll all copy so that you don't always necessarily have to have a current powered by GE fixture?
So I think when fluorescent fixtures were around, that was a must do. I think there's way too much out there to come up with a common form factor.
See, to me, that's future-proof.
Yeah.
To me, the way the lighting business was in the past with replaceable components and light fixtures, where there was NEMA standards about the length of tubes and bi-pin sockets and this sort of stuff, that's future-proof, meaning this fixture can be repaired down the road.
Right.
I like the idea that you're building your fixtures with upgradable components in mind down the road. The problem is that the way I see it is that if current power by GE doesn't make that retrofit kit, who's going to?
Right. It sounds like an opportunity for somebody.
Right. Yes, but what I'm saying is that there's so many different types of platforms out there right now. That
it's true.
It's difficult to have innovation when everybody has different form factors for everything.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And the industry dynamics have changed dramatically because anyone can make an LED fixture. If you made a fluorescent lamp, you would invest millions of dollars, and the barrier to entry was very high.
Yes.
So it's a far different industry.
What was there, like 5 fluorescent lamp factories in the world?
Yeah, at one time probably
one in
close
Germany,
to that.
one in Hungary, one in America, one in Canada, one in China, or something like that.
Yeah, it was
never,
pretty
factories everywhere.
Right. So that is the changing dynamic of the industry in terms of the barrier to entry is virtually zero today.
We went to Shenzhen in 2014. I think they said there was 7,000 LED manufacturers in Shenzhen.
Yeah, that number's probably different now because it's been
consolidated.
A lot of consolidation has occurred, but yeah, that's what's happened.
Yeah.
And you know the big guys survive the storm, if you will.
Yeah.
By having innovation and unique things that you can offer in the business. So,
tell us a little bit about this, and not as an advertorial, but the concept behind the RPL that you were talking.
So the concept is you're trying to attack different things. You want to make the install simple, and the way it works is you keep the fixture back box there, and you gut that fixture. So now you don't have the tonnage of the metal from the back box. You're not having to disconnect MC cables. So the install time is actually faster. So that's one key aspect, and that's with pretty much any kit out there. So not necessarily just RPL. Sure. And then uniquely, what we try to do is we try to have a match in every single fixture type. So that's really hard to do. We're on about our 4th generation of a refit kit, and our engineers, we've gotten stuck along the way.
Sure.
So you get a guy who orders the kits, and out in the field it doesn't work. So you need to learn to pivot pretty quickly and fix that immediate situation, and then you incorporate that into your designs.
How does a company like GE stay nimble in this environment? I mean, you guys were the opposite of nimble, like the GE lamp supply catalog. Basically, the lamps, these things you have in stock, and then you're innovating on the edges. I'm talking 10 or 15 years ago.
Yes, of course.
You're making a high-performance 28-watt T8 or something like that. Things move so quickly in this business now. How do you guys handle that as a large incumbent corporation? How do you handle that process? How do you say no and yes to different things?
So, Brian, I don't know if you want to cover this, but I can talk to it.
I mean, from the control standpoint, that's why we've standardized on Zigbee, because it allows us to leverage different manufacturers and the components that exist, like 3,000 different Zigbee devices exist in the world, right? So when the customer has a new use case, like a grocery store needs, if you've seen the temperature dials in your refrigerated cases, somebody's walking by taking notes on that to make sure that temperatures are kept at the right level. Or we can source a temperature, a food safe temperature tag that you can put in there, and that's all reported through the lighting control system now, and they can actually save that time, and it's actually a better outcome, right? Like the temperatures don't always work. Like the dials are broken, or it's a digital one that doesn't work today.
Are you guys becoming a software company? Is that what you're talking about?
It's a digital infrastructure company, right? So we're open at the top. It's not necessarily my software people are going to be using to analyze the data set. We're feeding that data to whether it's an internal platform or an extra, like a third-party software provider. It's open. It's endless. It's like whatever the customer needs. So that kind of helps us from a flexibility standpoint. And be able to react to different scenarios. Like if a customer says, I'm using this software platform to do my space utilization, great. I'm glad you guys have it. We can connect into that and feed them data, right? So I don't have to do a whole end-to-end solution. We're able to provide whatever the customer needs from a digital infrastructure standpoint, and customize it to what their use case.
Can I talk to the fixture side? So on the fixture side, we do a ton of reliability testing. And our engineers don't just Google the next LED and use it. We do thousands or tens of thousands of hours of testing on our own of products, and we then make those products kind of off the shelf. So our engineers are limited to products they can use which have already been reliability tested for us. So to be nimble, you have a certain amount of things you can select from, but then you can be pretty creative in what you do with those.
You know what's interesting is that I'm a big believer that innovation, to be effective, has to take place within a set of rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
Like if you can do anything, well, then there's no limit to it. It's endless and vacuous. You know what I mean? Tell me a little bit. I'm really interested in this reveal Trigain, about the science behind that.
So GE has a ton of expertise in phosphors. That comes from the fluorescent days. And we were pressed to develop a phosphor that was actually to be used more in the tablet and phone industry, because reds and radiant colors are very important in that industry. So that Trigain was really developed as a different product for that industry, and then we adopted it to fixture type LEDs. Same technology, but a different form factor of the LED. So we've been able to take advantage of that.
How long was that in development for? When you were guys doing the science?
I'm going to say probably more than 10 years in terms of total development time, because we've always been searching for better phosphors. And it's a very unique process that you use to create that phosphor, and it's a pretty hard process to replicate.
Can you put that in all of your fixtures then, I assume?
Yeah, so there are some physical limitations compared to an LED, but this is the beauty of GE designs. We're very conservative. So you can't necessarily drive that LED as hard as you could drive a low-cost type fixture where you're just trying to minimize the count. But we pretty much have put it in most of the indoor products today. And the nice part is, in the products it's in, there's basically no upcharge for the 90 CRI.
On the back to the RL kit, one question that I've had: are you guys ever going to come out with a retrofit kit for a current fluorescent fixture that's direct-indirect center basket fluorescent? Because right now it needs to be parabolic or prismatic lens, basically.
Yes.
And if you have direct-indirect fluorescent, you can't retrofit.
So there are a few direct indirects that our kits actually fit.
Okay.
We've worked with installers to make some modifications to the fixture. You have to cut a bracket out once in a while or something else, but we won't have one for every single one of those. There's so many different manufacturers and products in the industry. It's hard to be universal in that aspect.
Yeah, that's the hard part. How many places do you go into that have a mix? You have one office is direct indirect, the next one's prismatic, then you got a parabolic. Happens all the time.
You know what? It's the other thing about this business is, I want to talk about two things. I'm going to start with the control question.
Okay.
I think the number one problem with lighting controls is the word lighting.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
People, we're all lighting guys.
Right.
And controls, practical business cases for controls has been the holy grail of lighting for a long time. Long before even LEDs, you had companies trying to make these control systems with Cat5 cables, and,
Right.
giving people controls. And there's been no rocket launch with it in a sense. And now, to me, the problem is we're still thinking about turning the lights on and off.
Right.
As the backbone to it for the business case. But for me, there's so much more that has nothing to do with lighting.
Right.
Like you're talking
And
about
that's what-
temperature gauges.
right.
It's like, why are we even talking about lighting controls?
I mean, lighting is an important experience when you walk into a space,
Sure.
right? Poorly lit space is depressing, or it doesn't do well for
Lighting
your mindset.
is interior
right?
design. Yes.
Correct.
Agreed.
Right? So to me, the proper control of that is important. And the controls have to work, but it is creating an infrastructure because people are buying it on an ROI base from an energy perspective. Standalone controls can capture 80% of that, right? You don't need the network solution, but the network solution gives you that flexibility when somebody complains, hey, I'm doing work on a tablet on my desk all the time. It's like the glare's bad. You can easily then adjust it, right? So it is giving that personalization, and it's important there. But to me, it's about creating that infrastructure, the wireless mesh network from a Zigbee perspective, where I can start adding components to it. It's creating a platform that I can go back to and reach higher hanging fruit, right? So if we do the LED retrofit, we save the energy on the lights, what's next? Do I have fans that I need to control that are wasting energy? Do I have air compressors that are running nonstop at 120 PSI? What comes up that would typically not hit a ROI target as a standalone project, but now if I have that infrastructure in place and my control system is flexible enough to take on different challenges, then it's easy to address those things. Those ROIs are accessible.
You ever go to a large mall?
Yeah.
Drive your car in, it tells me how many parking spots are in there.
Right.
That is such an obvious thing that lighting can do.
Right.
Like lighting controls can do. Tell you how many, whether a spot's vacant or whatever.
Right.
And there's just millions of different, not millions, there's many cases in commercial industrial properties where there's an opportunity to control something with the lights being the hub of the controls. But we don't think about that enough.
No. I mean, the same thing with the new future office space, right? It's all flexible. It's all hotel desks. It's huddle rooms. It's, phone bubbles. It's like, all sorts of things. And people are like, it's good to see people work in like it's instead of having a desk that's able to do all your tasks at, right? There's different task-based settings that you go to. Like you have huddle spaces to collaborate. You have focus areas to do your own work. You have phone booths to take calls in. Like you go to the area that's developed for the task that you're doing. Yeah. It's really interesting to see it work out and people use it, but some of those, that now introduces new challenges. I can't find a place to take my phone call. Like I need to find a quiet area to do my work, and it's noisy all, there's these new challenges. And that's really where the wireless aspect of the lighting control piece comes in, because I can easily add occupancy sensors under those hotel desks, so you can have a dashboard when you come off the elevator to show you where the desks are open, right? If we add noise level sensors into that control system, we can also then give you an indication of where it is that's quiet if you're trying to be focused, where it is, like they're even talking about different temperatures in the floor. So some people are hot, some people are cold. All right, well, what if we put this side of the floor at a warmer temperature, that side of the floor at a cooler temperature, and people can go to that space. So
psychologists have proven that moving around during the day is an excellent way to learn better.
Sure.
Right? So like kids trapped in the same classroom all day, they go into like a state of vertigo.
Sure.
I'm stuck in this room and there's no windows or whatever, and then oh my god, and the teacher is going crazy, right? So I remember when I went to Villa Park, in 2005 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we moved rooms all day long in there, from one room to another. And I remember that being very helpful. Like you're sitting in a room all day learning about light bulbs, it's going to blow your brains out.
Right.
But it's the same. People like to move around during the. Now, some people like to have their desk. I mean, it's all personal preference. But we know that moving your workspace during the day helps you work better.
Sure. Agreed. And I think part of it is now we can make people more productive. Instead of you walking around all day looking for that spot to do your work, you can actually use your phone apps or your dashboards to actually get from point A to point B. And using like either indoor positioning or like your occupancy sensors, you can find the room close to you rather than like having to drill down in menus on your app, because that's part of it too. Like if you have to go into the app, I'm in Boston, I'm in this building, I'm on floor 2, like that's painful. But if you're using if you're using location-based services as part of your office environment, you open the app, it knows where you are, and it can use the occupancy status of the rooms around you, just find the room that is closest to you that you can go to get your job done, right?
This might shift gears a little bit, but
sure.
Is a T8 fluorescent lamp or fluorescent lamps in general linear? Are they going to go away?
I would say not anytime soon.
Okay.
The market is still there.
Yep.
It's still being manufactured.
Where is it being manufactured by you guys?
Is it Hungary still?
No, we actually manufacture some of the products in Ohio.
I've been to that plant. It's still around.
Yeah.
I went out to that several years ago, and they're turning out fluorescents.
That factory actually is now taken the rotary technology, and they're making LED tubes in that factory as well.
Okay.
One of the few places in the U.S. that is actually making LED tubes.
I'd like to see more LEDs made in the United States. Actually, I think lighting is a military strategic technology. I mean, people don't think about it that way, but if
most of the major manufacturers in the U.S. are making their product in North America. Now, there's certainly parts that come from China, but you could easily move beyond that in a fast way. In fact, the tariffs have actually motivated a lot of changes in the lighting industry just because of that shifting, that moving target. So,
I don't think anybody cares about really whether there's tariffs or not. I think they just want certainty. Right. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to, it's like, okay, if there's going to be a tariff, put the tariff, and then we're going to make our decisions based on that.
Yeah,
or don't put the tariff, and we'll make our decisions based on that. But it's the uncertainty, I think, is what causes a little bit of panic for people.
It's a good point.
Now, looking at the future, let's say we go into a facility, we do retrofit kits there with all LED fixtures, and 8 years from now, and some burnouts. Do you think we're going to go in and have an energy saving story, or is this going to be a LED replacement at that point?
So the second time around, it's a lot harder to get your payback, right? So the concept.
That's what we said back in the T8 fluorescent days too.
It's true. It's true.
I'm going back. Ripped out the halides, put in the T8 high bays or T5 high bays. Guess what? There's a real good story taking out T5 HOs or putting in T5 LEDs or changing.
The thing we try to encourage end users is when you do your life cycle planning and your return on investment, take into account that savings, part of it should go into the next generation. Now,
save up for us. We're going to be back.
It's not going to be, now, with a GE fixture, it's not going to be 8 years. Sorry, that's a little free advertising. But when it does go, yeah, that's a tough story, because LED LPWs, you know, they're going to get slightly better, but they're pretty much plateaued. You're not going to see some miracle, you know, doubling now of the wattage savings, and even when you get there, it keeps getting smaller and smaller.
So
it's a good point on the life cycle cost piece, because like with our fixtures and the longevity of them and the reduced maintenance and better lumens for a while, like it's not as competitive maybe on the upfront pricing, but over the life of the fixture, like, you know, doing the math, it really, you know, over 10 years you're going to spend less money.
What I see is I look at that reveal Trigain, that kind of thing. I think we're going to be retrofitting into circadian in 10 years.
Yeah, so you have to be careful, because there is circadian, but circadian is different than tunable.
Sure, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Circadian, you pretty much have to have the light right in your eyes.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, right now, what they're saying is, we had Adam Lillian from the UL on. They know that there is something about light and health, but they don't know exactly what it is yet. But we're coming up to it. Like they're figuring it out. And like you're talking about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos making spaceships that fly around the Earth that people live in all the time. So in order for this kind of stuff to happen, they're going to have to figure out how light works.
Yeah,
sure.
Right? You can't be in a 4,000 Kelvin state all day.
Well, we don't even know what it is really yet, right? So we got to get it figured out. But once they figure it out, that if you can actually increase, if it's like, okay, if you could actually, never mind not hurt people, but help people be more healthy, that is unbelievable, dude, if that happens.
Right.
Like, can you imagine Greg and I running around Minnesota and Ontario? Hey, you ready to get your healthy lights? Like, if that actually is true and you can do that, that's incredible. And that's going to be a payback story like nothing else.
Sure. I mean, that gets into the whole control strategy too. Like, what's possible? Like, what do you incorporate into the ROI, right? Like doing a network lighting control solution doesn't pencil in from an energy ROI all the time, but it gives you that ability to have choice in the future, where you wouldn't have that opportunity if you know, like, my goal from a Daintree perspective is to get ahead of the LED retrofit and say, hey, get a sensor in there, let's get a node in there. And they're like, why do I want that? I'm like, well, you know, there's use cases that are going to come up in the future that you're going to want that mesh network there, and you can leverage it for other things that I might not be able to identify now. I can like hint at like the productivity pieces from at a space utilization aspect, or you can add on HVAC components, or do you want to know the temperatures in your spaces or your indoor air quality, like CO2, like what's the level? We can easily put CO2 sensors in, add them to the Zigbee mesh network, and now you have that information to make sure that your space is productive and people aren't falling asleep. Like before, it's like close the outside air dampers, save energy, but now it's like, well, you're saving energy, but you're costing productivity, and that's way more expensive than the energy savings. So
I think I've said it a number of times on the show, but it's all about making your fixture or your retrofit or your upgrade capable of doing something that might happen in the future.
Right, and
as capable as you can.
Watch it.
I know,
but
you're going
a control system, like an enterprise control system, you already have that capability built in as color. It's going to start with color tuning, right? And we're seeing a ton of interest in that, and there's a lot of, I'll call them more niche products out there today, but that's going to start to come into play. Everybody's asking about it. Every manufacturer is working on making that happen. So, and prior to that, even it's color selectable, which is really just for the convenience of the distribution world to have less SKUs to be stocking. but then color tuning will come into play, and that's where you really need, it's not a one-time selection when you install the fixture, it's a continuous change, and you need a control system to make that happen.
You know, lighting is not that important to people, though. Unfortunately not. You know, I mean, like, there's a bunch of lighting dorks.
Yeah.
It's not, we always say once the fixture's installed, nobody sees it, right?
Hopefully.
You tabletop it and somebody finds a little flaw in the fixture, they don't like it, but once it's in the ceiling, I mean, look at the ones out there.
Lighting is like leadership, okay? When it's good, you don't notice it.
Right. And people ask to come, like, can we see where your controls are installed? It's like, sure. I don't know what you're going to see, though, like, because, like, it works. Like, the lights are on, they're at the right levels. It's like, it should be pretty invisible, right? Like, so, sure, I can, it's much more likely I could take you to the dashboard and show you, like, how the lights are being dimmed. It's easier for me to do a software or web demo to show you what's going on, because, like, bringing you into the space is like, unless I'm doing some crazy dimming curves or occupancy timeouts and stuff like that, you're not going to see the controls in effect. They're like invisible, right? So
They should be.
they should be, right? If they're not, then yeah.
I think to Brian's point, controls have been around for 40 years, right? GE has a control system that they used to, or that we still sell pretty big today.
Yeah.
It's a wired control system. And even occupancy sensors have been around for a super long time.
Sure.
The reason they have never really been effective is because they've been an annoyance to people, right?
Yeah.
You go in your office and it doesn't see small movements, and that sensor on the wall shuts the lights off, right? And you have to, put your hand in front of it and turn it back on. What Brian's talking about is making those things go away so people aren't doing things like switching or eliminating the motion sensing. You want to have it compatible with not noticing it. So it's a great
and that's
point.
a simple advantage from the networked aspect is during the day when I know there's going to be people in the space, I can set the occupancy timeouts to be longer, right? So they don't have to stand up or move or whatever. But in the evening or other times of the day, I can actually get more aggressive on those timeouts and make it like 5 minutes, right? So it's not like you don't always have to be tied to your worst case scenario all day. Like with the network piece, you tune the occupancy to what's going on in the space, and you can drive more energy savings that way and more life.
Guys, thanks for coming on the show and having us at the booth. What's the website? LED.com, right?
Yes, LED.com.
Check out Current Powered by G. Come down to the booth here at Light Fair 2019. Guys, I really enjoyed speaking with you today.
Yeah, thanks. Great questions.
Yeah, we'd like to thank the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors for NAILD.org. Current Powered by G. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a million.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.